Yo, let's get to it, man. Long overdue. Is it? I don't know. I can't say, man. I'm getting a mean echo, man. So I don't know how that's gonna come out on the audio, man. My bad. Actually, speaking of the audio, yeah. I don't know who caught that last one, but it probably might have been almost inaudible, if anything. You know what I mean? So my bad if you didn't get to hear what I was saying, or if it was just like a strain trying to understand um, whatever I might have been talking about. I don't really know. That was, I think, sometime last week or whatever. Yeah, I kind of wanted to follow up, you know what I mean? But we just keep it pushing, man. So we landed on this spot right now, and it's Black Ops Edition, first one, right? Nah, typically every previous other time it was in the daytime. Um, so, we back. I seen this OnlyFans girl gets a heavy dose of reality. Yeah, man. So I was curious because I was saying to myself, like, I don't even know what OnlyFans like entail. You know what I mean? I just know that from what I understand, you know what I mean. I was talking about this a while back, and I mentioned how for a lot of reasons we live like in this like you know fake pseudo porn star world. You know, everybody's a little porn star. I mean, at least the ones that is like sexually active or whatever the case is, right? And so, what can I say? I mean, it's human nature. Obviously, these platforms, you know, they monetize some that's so kind of, I don't want to say, because I've been saying it for the longest time, it's spiritual, it's sacred. Um, but they, you know, monetize off of pretty much, you know what I mean, like normal. Well, at this point, it's abnormal. And we're going to get into why it's abnormal, right? But with something like this, it's like, um, I mean, is it the first of its kind? I mean, you bring this to the masses now. So it's like previously, you know, started with the magazines and the VHS cassette tapes. Then it was just like, you know, dirty sites. And that's the extent of my knowledge. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they got way more outrageous shit that I don't care to know about, right? And so OF, I heard somebody call shit Only Fools. Uh, I, from what I remember, it came onto the scene. Um, I want to say around pandemic 2020 or whatever. And so I was talking about it. I actually was recently. Uh, well, I'm not gonna get into the details, but uh, I found myself in a random conversation and want to coming into the conversation. I might have alluded to it like off of the camera, right? And so what happened? Uh, I mean, when I didn't even really consider it, but like what I mean, like this shit just started kind of like exploding on the scene, and then it came to the point where I realized like, I mean, if it's not OF, then it might be something else. I can't say, but like a lot of people have their own private accounts, right? And yo, I started to consider it only on the basis that like, I mean, I've grown from those fantasies, but like literally, like just the simple act, it seems as though I guess it's a way to exploit. You know what I mean? In your way, ultimately exploit yourself. And that's not necessarily how I was intending on considering using it. Um, it was more like, in the surveilled state, we can't even live a private life. So it's like, I might as well just, you know what I mean? Like, some, I don't want to say make it official, but like, you know what I mean? Just like, if there's no way around, you know what I mean? Like, if I snuck a biddy or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, it's just like, you know, it might garner more attention than necessary, right? And so, not only that though, man. The funny thing, crazy thing too, is like in that regard, like you can't twist the narrative and say this, and you can't say because look, I mean, obviously stepping into it, 100% times it should be consensual. You know what I mean? But you know, people be funny, man, and I ain't gonna get into all of that. But we know about the Me Too movement. We know about the um. Well, I don't know it in great detail, but I think even a woman could claim date rape. I think even 3 days after the actual act, consented act, I would say, you know what I mean, like took place. And so it's wild, man. Bro, he's out there right now with some lawsuits, but you know what I mean, like he got he got receipts, man. So that's the most important thing. I want to say for both parties or whatever, but like you know what I mean, like as gentlemen, we gotta really be on our p's and q's, cause it's so wild out here. And like literally, I've been on my p's and q's for some time, but we human. We have some slips up here and there. You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's kind of like stay disciplined until you find one, and maybe one is not your thing. Um, I mean, I ain't trying to tell you how many you can and you can't have. Cock blocking over here. But either way, like, I mean, in terms of, see, now I'm a father, so now that little giggle kicked in, right? Well, hold up, that shit ain't so funny. But the fact of the matter is, even as dads, even as fathers, man, you also know, like, I mean, things are not traditional, man, and more importantly, like if you in the home and you active, I mean, hopefully you got some kind of influence on your young lady, you know what I mean, to the point where you're not always gonna know everything. Obviously, the secret, but you got a good relationship with her to the point where you know what I mean, like you cultivated it, and I mean, I don't really know how that goes. I'm just a first time dad when it comes to that, but I know a few of us got good relationships with our daughters. Not too many though. Not even just our daughters, just our sons and our daughters, man. So that's the frustrating aspect of it, right? And that's partly due to like this current climate, this atmosphere that we inherited, right? Um, and so like I'm running my mouth. I might just start this one over. Um, but at the same time, like it's not that serious, man. It's just you know what I mean. Just get to it, right? So let's check out what homie got to say right here.
It's not looking good. These models are starting to go broke, and the downfall is real. From easy money to financial panic, we're taking a look at how it all came crashing down. Stay tuned. This one's eye opening.
I'm broke. Yeah, I'm broke. And guess what? And I want the world to know, yeah, I'm broke.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
If you Google the average wage of an OnlyFans creator, it's $180 a month.
I did OF and I regret it badly.
I would
You hear
never do
that?
OnlyFans.
Let's talk about why I deleted my OnlyFans. What?
I wasn't happy doing it. Like it almost felt like I wanted to like something I desired.
you see these PYTs, right? And so like they under like major influence and they like I mean they're motivated. I mean as we all should, but like we should have a healthy kind of perspective on it, right? Because then when you start cheapening yourself and you put yourself in this, you know, environment where you allow yourself to be exploited and you think it's, you know, what should I say? You think it's like comparable pay to, what I mean, exchange your body, your soul, your spirit, you know, obviously, for means, I mean, and that means it's money, and we just gotta be mindful, man, because there's consequences with that. So we're gonna hear some of these young ladies' revelations.
It was more like, oh, she's an only girl, someone who I wanted to be known as, because there's a lot more of me than just that.
Many people sadly regret that because they didn't get the amount of money they expected.
Because honestly, I had a lot of people talk me into it. It just got to a point where it wasn't something I wanted to be doing anymore.
You have a great personality. You knew that, I knew that. Now you have other opportunities coming, and I think those are going to change your life, and I think a lot of things great will come.
I don't think so.
As grown adults, we can't make excuses and say people have made us do what we did. In the end of the day, everyone is responsible for their own actions.
A train ran on me has.
Look, this is disgusting, man. I wanted to pause this before this scene, this particular scene came to mind, right? Because I was thinking actually since I don't know a couple of days ago, right? And speaking on what I'm speaking on now, but I didn't stumble on to this video till early today or yesterday, I want to say, right? And it stemmed from a previous other video, right, where a, I mean, a different looking chick, but like a young chick similar to the one that we're gonna listen to, and she's like, raise your hand if you done a DP or something like that. Sick fucks out there, you know what that is, you know what I mean? Now we deal with um dope topics, I wanna say, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, um I'm assuming I don't gotta explain what that is, right? And so like literally like if a chick already experienced that and you and your just gullibleness don't know that aspect of her, then you come to find that out after. I mean, perhaps you're welcome to the swingers league. I mean, but um, even with that, man, like it's just crazy to think, man. Like, and I'm sure for some people, like, yeah, that's a turn on and all of that, but it wasn't designed that way, man, and it's dire consequences. So you hear her speaking, and look how desensitized she is.
Honestly lost its appeal. Like, I used to love getting blown out.
Oh, hell no!
My OnlyFans
That's
got
crazy.
deactivated this morning.
That's
I think
crazy.
this is a good reminder.
And so like she'll be mad at the new nigga for her past. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean to be fucked up, but like, do you want to be the new nigga? And you probably do if you're just thinking like short sighted, but then afterwards, you probably might have a different perspective. You know what I mean? I ain't telling you how to live your life. Obviously, live your life, man. Live, let live. You know what I'm saying? And so we're hearing people's stories of people who, live. You know what I mean? I mean, not to say that this is the only way to live, you know what I mean? But when we live in this hypersexualized world, like, how old was that young lady to the point where she's like, where she's tired of that? And like, at one point, where she gets to the point where she misses that like God forbid it's in a relationship, you know what I mean, with someone who takes it serious. Like now, if it's a swinger, then I'm not judging. Like um, that's not my forte. But I'm just thinking like in terms of um, people don't really understand why it's so jacked up out here, and because you just got a whole bunch of like people that grew up off on porn, and instead of what I'm saying, like having the right kind of guidelines, to understand that it's a sexual act, it's a sacred act that God created. And so it's bad out here, man. And so our core intrinsic feelings of companionship, we want to meet those. We don't understand the tribulation that comes within a marriage, and that's why they're short lived, and that's why there's so many divorces, and we ruin ourselves not for nothing just by like experimenting in terms of let me check with the date scene got, you know what I mean. So it's like meet a lot of jerks and scumbags and gold diggers and bitches, and you know what I mean. Like I'm not describing everybody in those terms. I'm just saying like that's what that low vibration is gonna give you. You know what I mean. So you're gonna walk away from those experiences feeling that way, and I mean it's sad. Um, so like when I get that urge, like I always gotta keep going back to that biblical scripture. You know what I mean? Not to say that I desire to be a single, but like it simplifies it to the point where it's like what's the point of looking for even a fling? Because the Bible tells us to flee from fornication. And so while you're young, dumb, full of cum, it's gonna be hard to do that. And even when you get older, it's gonna be hard to do that, right? But it ain't till you start having real conversations with yourself, it ain't till you start experiencing some dire consequences in terms of just bad experiences that you realize, like, oh wow, damn, the Bible is on point when it says that that's the only sin that you commit against your body. You know what I mean? Every other sin is outside of your body. And so we're hearing these young people, you know, tell the experience from messing with OnlyFans, but the thing about it is we living in a fallen state, a godless world. So it's like how much, what I mean, how much of that biblical teaching where you kind of, what I mean, and even when you get hit with that, I don't want to say it in those terms, but like even when you do get a dose of that, you still got to deal with like pressure and all of that stuff. You know what I mean, from your environment. You know what I mean. Um, and so, it's bad. Like, check these stories out.
That even a creator like myself, who follows all the rules, who's very mild on the platform, so to speak, has had their funds frozen and all of their tens of thousands of followers that they've worked 3 years for just kicked to the curb.
Go home and get a job.
Once again, blaming it on everyone else isn't going to solve a thing.
Ladies with an OF, this is for you. If you have an OF, you know what I'm talking about. Good luck filing your taxes this year. I went to file mine yesterday. Boy, did that kick me in the... I had an idea that I'd be paying back in taxes, but I had no idea I was going to be paying that much.
This is what I meant by regretting for the wrong reason.
Wish you guys the best of luck, and I really hope you saved that money because I was just mind blown at how much I had to pay back in taxes because of that.
I'm here to tell you right now.
Probably the only time we'll
The
ask
internet
you.
is forever, and the past will come back to haunt them. So it's best if we keep things clean and respectable.
I've had an OF since I was 22, and I never made a lot of money, like the kind of money that would make it really worth it. But I am heavily considering that this might be the end for me anyway. A lot of marketing left in me. I don't think I just don't think I can do it anymore.
Yo, so for like, I don't know, but I ain't really like fully entertained it, but I actually did consider it, and then I actually like, you know what I mean? I ain't necessarily pitch it, but like at the same time, I did bring it up, right? I did bring it up, and like my approach, cause I was watching something, and I realized like not everybody, um, like some people are actually couples on there, you know what I mean? So I wasn't sure pretty much like the extent of what people doing there. Like I've never logged onto that site. I don't know what it is to even formulate an account or anything like that. Like, you know, it's just something I've heard about. It's still here, and you know, in terms of like trying to figure this out, I was like, all right, well, maybe I might consider it, whatever, just in case, like, you know what I mean? So, after hearing these nightmare stories, though, I'm
But
good.
I don't know. The whole sunken cost fallacy, the whole, wow, I gave years to that. I must get a return on my investment. I must at least make several thousand.
This is the trap that many people fell into. They are sadly ready to do anything, no matter what, for the sake of getting more money.
Yeah, I don't know, but this might be the end for me.
Why do we live in a world where girls think that OnlyFans is okay? And we're calling it woman empowerment. And we live in such a world where it's like, well, no judgment here. You do you. No, there is judgment.
I agree with this. If we see something wrong, we should definitely point it out, or at least raise awareness.
And so we raising awareness, right? I ain't trying to point at the screen, right? Even though he's absolutely right, man. Like, but at the end of the day, like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean that's something, you know what I mean? Trust me, like just preaching, like I don't even I be trying to like and then you get accused for tiptoeing around the whole situation, but it's like you know, you just can't be coming up to random people and trying to like, you know what I mean? I understand the shame aspect of it, and some people definitely might need the shame or the chastisement. But the ones that do never get it. You get a free pass to keep fucking up society. Meanwhile, you got a lot of fuckery, you know, bullshit kind of taking place, and it's just like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? So it's like, y'all got better stories. I'm good. I don't got no more stories, man. I mean, only thing I could think of, like, you know what I mean, like, and it's kind of hard to find, like, who could find a wife, you know, in this situation. You know what I mean? She probably she probably got a real dark history, man. Like I guess like back in the day, if she had like four bodies, that wasn't too bad. But niggas was already like pulling their hair out. Now imagine that, like you got way more in the triple digits. You know what I mean? So it's like it's wild out here, man. It's wild.
And it was just such a dark, dark time in my life before you started OnlyFans. Like, what would you say to yourself or do? I would shake myself and tell her, that girl right there, how worth it she is. You know, how special she actually is. I was just believing the lies of the world, the lies of, myself. I lied to myself so much about it.
I wanted to come on here and kind of talk to you guys about why I stopped doing OnlyFans. I know, kind of a shocker. I am a Christian. Huh? And I know that God is a forgiving and loving God, but a few months I've known that He has told me He doesn't want me doing this anymore.
I see a lot of people do numerous things, and to justify it, they would make an excuse like this and link it to the spiritual side to gain people's empathy when they could have been honest about things.
OF and I regret it badly. I'm really outing myself here, but maybe this video will help some people. I did OF for about 3 months.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just going to tell you some things that might help you if you're considering doing it. I think a few things that you should consider first is Are you willing to put in the time to do this? Are you willing to be cringe and also setting boundaries for yourself? Because it's so easy to start getting some money and just going past what you're actually comfortable with.
People shouldn't just see the money aspect. They should realize that this kind of job leaves permanent consequences.
That Anna Paul and all these creators glamorize OnlyFans, and a lot of young girls think, oh, it's going to be so easy to make money. But in reality, if you don't have a following, it's a grind. You have to be all over all the social media platforms at all times. You have to be on Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. You have to be talking to people on the actual app itself. So it is a full-time job in itself, and I was working at the time and I was struggling to fit it all into my day.
Get out of here.
What do people expect? You can't get money without effort. Any job requires it, one way or another.
So I think another thing would be to set time in the morning or the afternoon when you want to talk to people, because you want to make money and you just start getting, it starts getting out of control talking to people all day long. You will do some cringe. So I signed with an agency towards the end, and they kind of took all rights of my OF, and they were making me do some cringy TikToks that just did not sit right with me. I think like after doing that was when I was like, this is actually not who I am and not who I want to be on the internet.
Some people, they come.
It's never too late to do the right thing.
I will be honest with you though, I did it from the end of April until early August, and I think I made about $10,000. So you can make money on there if you want. I could only commit my time part-time, but if you're doing it full-time and you really wanted to make money, then you just have to consider all these other things, like, is it who you want to be? Is it in line with who you are? Reason that I did it is because I wanted to move overseas and I needed an online job that I could do anywhere. So that's why I just hustled for that small amount of time, and I wanted to do that. But I wish I had thought about it much harder than I did, because I regret it. And I wish I didn't do that. It was a weird part of my life.
I ain't come on here.
And also, don't be surprised if people that you know sign up to your OF.
This is probably the worst part, when family and friends see it.
I think I got maybe 120 subscribers in that time that I did it, and you'd be surprised. A lot of them are people that you used to work with, people that you used to go to school with. Don't always believe things that you are seeing online. All of these people on TikTok are doing these cringy videos to go viral, and you're falling for it, and you are sharing it, you're commenting on it, and you're making these videos go viral.
We should really carefully pick our role models.
I think you know the girls that I'm talking about.
Actually, do believe that OnlyFans and all these different things, with all these different options for men, it's making it harder for men to be in relationships. They're married. They're probably not spending as much time with their wife. They're probably jacking off in a room, not paying attention to their wife, and it's ruining them. So do you guys at all guilty for being part of an industry that's probably not good for marriages, making it harder for even you guys to find men that are...
Blame it on in the marriage.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be!
But you're contributing to it.
Okay, but it's them. They're a faulty person. Okay, but it's still their actions in the first place.
Some people cannot take even 1% accountability and would blame everyone else. But deep down, I'm sure they know the sad truth.
Find another girl. If I'm an OnlyFans, they find a different one. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I'm just saying you're profiting off of it. I was just wondering if you feel at all morally culpable.
No, I do not.
People learn from other people's mistakes. Fools learn from their own. I'm ashamed. I'm proud of myself and what I've done, and I wouldn't take anything back. However, it's not like I like the idea that people can view me. I personally, those videos make me want to throw up.
But she did like the idea of profiting.
It doesn't matter, what people think. You could be any kind of person and inspire somebody or help somebody or whatever. Coyotes howl and the caravan keeps moving. Meaning, who gives a say. They look at you and they're like, man, look at this life she had in the adult film industry. Look at what she's done in social. And they probably look at you as a source of inspiration. And maybe they think following a similar path is going to get them there. And I think you talking like this so openly.
Yeah, it's cool.
Trust me, there is no inspiration about that. Only regret.
Is helping probably a lot of people, maybe people we never even know, right? Like they hear your story.
You're doing now this thing with Playboy that's going to help.
You can just help one person. It really does matter. I don't care anymore. I'm extremely happy with myself. I know who I am, and that's all that matters. There's nothing that anyone else needs to think about me.
Well, I'm out, man.
1.4 million women in America do OnlyFans. 1.2 million is between 18 and 24. I decided to Google the number of OnlyFans workers. And when I tell you guys this number, I want you to remember sex work is an industry for young women. And so the majority of this number is going to come from Gen Z.
Check these stats out.
I found out 1.4 million women in America do OnlyFans. 1.2 million is between 18 and 24. What percent of women, how many women in America are between 18 to 24?
Those numbers are scary if you think about it,
but I'll
especially
about
when they keep rising.
I find out roughly 10 million women. So just on OnlyFans alone, 10% of women in that age group are on OnlyFans. So there's only 10 million women between 18 to 25. Then I decided to think more about the consumers. Who is consuming OnlyFans?
The simps are the main consumers.
And I found out that 82 million American men subscribe to OnlyFans.
What the fuck?
Now,
Yo, I'm not even challenging her statistics. I don't even got the E for effort to do that shit. But I can tell you though, when it comes to like literally like no thanks to these vices and the accessibility of like corn, like a lot of people are ruined, you know what I mean? And like it's really like not even such a thing as soft porn at this point. Like that shit's just completely normal. You know what I mean? At any given, it's just readily accessible, or you get bombarded with it, and doesn't necessarily have to be on your phone. It could just be like right in front of you. You know what I mean? So like it could be going to Sunday service, like literally, like you know what I mean? The amount of degeneracy and decadence is like, I think on one of the voice memos, and I did actually, I don't know if those were actually tests or whatever, but I did see like, some females cover up the next day. I wasn't calling, or instructing or anything like that, but um, it certainly was a nice treat. You know what I mean? Like, did 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 they garner any less looks? I can't say. I just noticed, they was covered up, and I mean, I don't know if it was, like, I mean, it might be some hope out there. At the same time, a lot of should be silenced, but I would like to say that what I did notice was genuine, and so there's people that, you know what I mean, like understand, like we really should have like some kind of, you know, standard in terms of not just be all, free nilly, free willy, you know what I mean, nilly and all that, you know what I mean. I mean, women gonna do what they gonna do. Fashion trends gonna come and go. At the same time, man, like, you know what I mean, like I don't know, man. Obviously, like the easiest thing to do is, wear less and, garner more attention. You know what I mean? But I guess to hold that Might take a little substance.
Think about how big that number is. How many people are in America? 165 million men are in the United States. And they're telling me that 82 million out of 162 million are subscribed to OnlyFans. Of the 82 million men subscribed to OnlyFans, 90% are married.
Yeah, check this out.
And
listen to what she said next.
87% of OnlyFans users are male, and 68% of OnlyFans users are white. So the average OnlyFans customer is a white married man.
But we all know that the Sigma men aren't involved in consuming any of that.
God is the say now. I never,
no, I have
not
a choice.
even
I can either quit doing
a
all
few
of this,
seconds
right,
other than
and
what
go
the
get a
fuck
job
is
for
this?
like a tenth of this,
You know what I mean?
or I can continue to do this and send you money. Which one do you think they would?
My mom would say, absolutely quit. My dad, he'd be like, oh my God, no, why would you ever quit?
Your dad would say that?
My dad would say that I send money to my dad so that he can
that's somebody I would call it.
And
like,
he's
their
a
family.
pastor?
He's not a pastor anymore. They stopped being a pastor when I was like 8.
You know, it's hard to believe all this shit.
Suffer from a mental illness.
It saddens me to see a father like this, because parents are supposed to show their kids the honorable way, even if that way will make them earn less.
Okay, but he was, and he retained his faith, right?
He did. I'm his daughter, though. You know, I'm not just some stranger. He's like, you know what? If I want her in my life...
Doesn't that make it worse? Like, wouldn't that make it worse?
Yeah, let's just fast forward this.
Accepting people as they...
Let God deal with that.
But I'm sort of trapped, like having to do it.
Most people, like, they do take a few steps further than they were initially comfortable with.
Yeah, I'm like trapped in doing OnlyFans. It's because there's nothing, like I don't have a plan.
People think, oh yeah, I'm gonna do OnlyFans and like things are gonna be. It's like no, there's actually real struggles behind it, mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good that you're staying out because I think
it is good money, but it's not easy.
It comes with a lot of
it comes
pressure.
with a lot of
It's
pressure.
a huge price.
Yeah.
It's awful when they quit because it doesn't make money anymore and pretend it's because of the values. People should work on things that bring pride and fulfillment, not shame and regret.
Mental
I
health
think I
since
might
I
have
started
heard.
this
Check this out.
has just slowly like been on such a decline. Like I feel a little bit dead inside. I feel completely desensitized. Not to sound funny, but I really don't feel any type of desire or like attraction to men in general anymore. Just know that if you are a person who's ever been interested in doing this, there really are so many downsides. At this point, and I'm like willing to admit this now, there's no amount of money that you can give me right now to like make me feel like giving myself away in certain aspects.
Unfortunately, it's too late, and the damage has already been done.
Even if they're just a few photos or whatever online.
And so it's important that I share these with you, right? Not the photos, whatever, it's out there. You probably came across it, whatever. So you just getting quick freestyle, whatever reaction, right? But it did catch my interest, and I definitely wanted to delve into it a little bit, but based off of what that animation said, right? And so it's easy to fall into that kind of that way of thinking. Then again, you might start to feel so damaged, and you just might devalue yourself, and it could spiral to a very bad territory. You know what I mean? It might have you either like draw closer to God, or go further and further and further away from Him. You know what I mean? Spiral to this like real dark person that narcissistic, and basically just looks at people as objects and things like that, right? And so she's having some internal, obviously, turmoil, but that reflection is leading her to make the right decision in terms of walking away from it, right? Now there's still gonna be like a lot of trauma, right? And so like just briefly, like it calls to mind something that I might have spoke of previously before, right? And so, you got all of these teachers, right? And I mean, I don't want to get bombarded with all this stuff tomorrow, but like, you know what I mean? Like, there's people that, subscribe to different doctrines and whatnot. I'm of the belief that, uh, you know, like Christ said, man, to enter the kingdom, baptism, right? Anyone hasn't been born again, right? And so, you know, you just don't go and you know what I'm saying, you just don't go and get baptized. Obviously, you have to have some basic core understanding of what the gospel is about, and take your salvation seriously. And once you go through those process to that through that process, like you'll get to the point where you'll want to commit and fully devote yourself. And baptism is a way of displaying that. It doesn't mean that you know um the devil's not gonna stop messing with you. You're not gonna get tempted. It doesn't mean that what I mean, all of a sudden you got these extra superpowers. Nah, it doesn't work like that. It just means that you decide that you're just gonna totally trust God and you're not gonna step outside of His will, right? Especially when it comes to what the sacred act, right? And so many of us, we've been abused, or some of us, or many of us have abused, and it's just like it's bad out there, right? And so literally, like, does that mean that you gotta be a piece of shit? No. That means that there's hope, right? If you find it in Christ, right? Now, they're not, maybe she did mention God at some point in that whole whatever she posted there, her personal, experience with the OF, right? But at the same time, like, it's it's sad because, like, yo, how many niggas won't fall for a pretty face like that? You know what I mean? A bunch of pretty faces, man, and then you only come to find out like how ugly a motherfucker's heart is. You know what I mean? So you can't go by that. I'm not even trying to like talk down on this individual because I don't know the individual. I'm just and I ain't trying to necessarily project my experiences, but I hear y'all, right? And so you got your personal experiences, and I'm sure I'm not too far off in terms of like understanding. You know what I mean? Like especially in that, people try to take advantage, and what I mean. Like a lot of times, like that's why there's a saying like, "Don't hate the player, hate the game," right? Because even the player gets played, right, and gets played and chewed up and spewed out by the game, and that's how I go. Like nobody's immune to that in terms of that when you know what I mean, like when you participate, right? And so you know the single life at this point in time is probably it's probably the best thing. Is it easy walk? No. Two is certainly better than one. You know what I mean? But like until people start to realize, like, we gotta come back to God, right? And we gotta have a strong relationship with Him. And so that's what helps put the boundaries, but it really gives you freedom because now you're not a slave to a particular. And so for me, the easiest thing, if somebody feels convicted, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, you smoke weed." And I grant you that. I mean, I grant you that. Um, and so maybe they don't. You know what I mean? Maybe that's not their vice, and maybe they prefer to and have sex as a vice. You know what I mean? And obviously you got free will, so you can do that. But if you're so free, then you'd be able to stop at some point, right? And then once you kind of stop, it's almost like I don't know. It's like You ever like as a little kid, like you ever want to spin in the circles, and then when you stop, it's like dizzy. So it's like I'm not saying um that the effect is like that, but like it's gonna take a while for you to kind of like really kind of center yourself, and now you're a little bit more, what I'm saying, like on the right foot. You know what I mean? But let's get back to the video. Look at his pretty face. You know what
Almost
I mean?
isn't worth it anymore. And while I did have such a strong start and it was so much fun in the beginning, after getting burnt out, I started to just feel really differently about like the types of messages that I was getting. Like seriously, if I had any type of ability to share like the things that people have said, just like how disgusting they are, and also when I get curious and nosy sometimes, like I'll go look at their profile and they have like a whole girlfriend or a whole wife, and sometimes even disgustingly enough they have kids. It makes me feel so conflicted with doing this. When I really sit down to think about what the purpose of all this is, it's really just to visually please a bunch of men. I've been sort of exploring the idea of maybe just having my content be focused on, things that I'm actually interested in.
I think the worst thing about that job is having to talk to people, because if they don't, those people would not subscribe again.
Which ultimately is not pleasing men in any way, shape, or form. Like, y'all can keep your money at this point.
I want to apologize to my mom because I know I've been a disappointment. I just have to thank Myron that I'm doing better now so that I can make my mom proud. But yeah, like finally left the club. I'm deleting OnlyFans, and I just wanna, I learned a lot from Fresh and Fit, and it's really, really been better for me. I'm a better woman.
That's one of the
I hope you
most
ladies actually take this
humblest
information
places
and learn from it because it really will help you. Anything
that I've
like that, I
seen.
really hope that you ladies learn
Like
from this.
these
And ladies that are
snippets.
watching, I hope that you actually aren't just hearing it. I hope that you're listening because it's life changing.
I have total respect for this lady. She took responsibility, admitted her mistakes, and most of all, she didn't blame it
I'm
on
pretty sure
anyone
she
but
was
her.
struggle.
And the first part to truly change is to be completely honest.
Really curious what would happen. It was really easy. So I could say that my 7-year-old could easily start an OnlyFans. She could easily get a credit card. She understands what a W-9 is.
It's a
She
scary
could
thing, you know what I
navigate
mean?
at 7 starting
Like
an
a lot of you know
OnlyFans.
my
She really
situation,
chose the
right?
wrong
And so it's
example
like
to explain
I
this
got
point.
caught
That's
last
where we
month,
could
and it's
start
like,
bringing AI to
yo,
help protect,
like
rather than
the
enable
bullshit, man.
this perpetuation of
Shit
children.
that
I make $40,000 a
I
month
don't even
doing
wanna.
OF, and I want to talk about some of like
You
the
heard
downfalls of
40,000, yo. I ain't even trying. Come on, you know me, man. At one point, I had nothing to brag about, but I'm just saying though, like I'm not even, I'm not even gonna try to be like funny and disparaging, but like 40,000, like, are you serious? Like 40,000, like for what exactly? Like, you know what I mean? Meanwhile, I'm getting criticized for having a basic menial job at the time, right? That I don't want to keep harping on, man. But it's just like I have my money in a way better situation, and like that's not the case right now, and it's been like that for a good while, right? And the fact of the matter is, it's like I hear a whole bunch of bullshit, right? So going back to the chick that was talking in the car, right, and then the guy from behind was walking, right, and she said, "Yeah, falling for it." Like in this limited amount of time I've been in this space, yo, everything's bullshit. I don't trust nothing, like, you know what I mean. So just even stepping outside is like, you know what I mean, fucking booby traps, man. By the grace of God, like, you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong, like a couple of times, like, but like by the grace of God, like I still had to kind of like be thankful and recognize, like, yo, thank you for discernment. Thank you for guidance. Like, really people out here trying to like get you in some nonsense and some bullshit, right? And so 40K for what? And this is a month. This is a month. 40K. Like I can't even do the math, right? Like, what the fuck is that for the year? 480. I don't know if my math is not mathing. I don't know what the fuck. Like like 40K a month. I mean, it just makes me want to scream liar because I don't want to believe that shit. I don't want to believe that shit. Yo, I had the most I ever made, right, was like 53, right? And so like it's not even after taxes. And I had to like leave one job, go to another, you know what I'm saying, in the process of doing that shit. And like, basically like hustle and get to it, right? To only come up with, probably maybe a little bit less than what she just finished saying, because it didn't even feel like 40K. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be surprised. And so I think it was probably closer to like 20, late 20s, 30s out of that 53, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. Um, yeah, weird shit. And because you get a little bit of a return, you know what I mean? But like 40K a month, that's 480. That's $500,000 a year. And what are you doing? That's contributing to society. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't hate. You know what I mean? Like, that's people out here doing
Of
supporting that.
making so much money. A lot of times people are going to treat you differently, whether it's because you do OF or because of the fact that you make so much money.
Do you guys think she's being honest? I find it hard to believe.
You ain't the only
A
one.
lot of people will straight up ask you, oh my gosh, how much money do you make when you start doing OF? Because people are super intrigued. Even if they don't want to do it themselves or like they have types of way about it, people are still interested in it.
You know what I mean?
So a lot of times when you tell people you do OF, literally the first question that they ask you is, oh my god, how much money do you make? Like,
leaving sex work and my experience being in sex work taught me more about myself than I could have ever imagined. And I want to share with y'all 3 things that completely changed my life through this experience. Number 1, self-worth comes from within. It has nothing to do with outside, how much money I can make, how attractive I am, how much appreciation and approval I receive.
The bottom line is that self-worth is priceless, and no money can buy it.
It is completely built on how much value I find and establish within myself. It's self-built. What's outside, like the money, is unreliable, and it's determined and dependent on how well performance and how well this, that, and that.
I think we should teach our children to take the good long path to success, instead of cutting corners and taking shortcuts. Well,
yeah, man, I'm about to wrap this up. About a minute or two, man. I might post this, I might not. I don't know. Either way, it was a little touch. I had this on. I had this on my mind. I've been saying to myself some things like, all right, maybe I might just incorporate this in some one of these videos when I'm talking. Um, yeah. So real quick, man, you get to hear some of these stories, man. Some of these horror stories, man. I mean, there's way worse out there, man. Some interesting stats at that. What else can I say? I mean, after saying that, like, I mean, I still can't, I still can't, I still can't see myself like even entertaining in that sense. You know what I mean? I mean, I play with the thought in my mind a little bit, but like, you know what I mean. At the same time, it's like I know it's not a route I want to actually like pursue. You know what I mean. I'm just trying to figure this thing out, man. You know, it's not like something I'm accustomed to in terms of it's not even so much like it's not something that I want to be accustomed to. You know what I mean? Like, I know where I was at, and so like I mean I don't even want to get back to that. I wanted to build off of that. I understand what the issue was like, and I know it wasn't coming from God. Like you know what I mean? But you know what they say too. So it's like in some regards like it's certain like life lessons and perspectives that I've gained and garnered over the last few years. You know what I mean? So in terms of that, like I'm certainly grateful, but beyond that, like at the same time, it's like you know what I mean, like damn, I can understand if you felt that way when if I got to the first milli, you know what I mean, but like little little change, like you know what I mean, like are you serious? Are you serious? You know what I mean? Like are you serious? Like either way, um. I'm taking a day at a time, man. It's giving me some broad perspectives, man. And in some ways, like, uh, I always understood contentment. At the same time, it's like, you know, it's it's like it's like it's hard to say, like what I mean, in terms of like accepting less than or settling or in terms of being all right with you know the minimum, in some cases even the bare minimum, you know what I mean, and it could be for some very few minute, it could be a little liberating, you know what I mean. At the same time, like the more things that you acquire, you do become a slave to them. But like, what I mean, within healthy reason, like, you know, to be able to, there's been a statistic for the longest time. The average American like wouldn't be able to, endure, or not even someone endure. Like if someone's lineage situation appeared and they had a bill, this, I think what 500 or not even that. I think the number went down to like 400. A lot of people wouldn't be able to handle that inconvenience, and that's sad. And so, in a way, like even when I was working, I was in that scenario, but I was still good with money. So like if I did get into a situation like that, you know what I mean, like at least a 500 deductible was something that what I mean. Like if I ain't have it this week, I had it the next week. You know what I mean, type of shit. Um, but now, you know, learn to make do with less, and you know, I, I was gonna say something, but I'm just right here, man. I catch you on the next one, man. It's a little quick one, late night. Holla.